Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel on YouTube, where we've got the TNT takes for you on the Challenge Season 40, Episode 11. That is right. Kahuna and I are back as per usual, but we are joined by Challenge royalty. And I say that because he is a Challenge champion, also a two-time finalist, both times that he played the game. Some of you may know him as the Thunder from Down Under, Troy Cullen. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good. The Thunder from Down Under. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I like that. I guess
That's
just
your
a bit
nickname.
of a ring to it. Not sure I'm big enough to create thunder though, but I try my best.
Troy, it's been a while. It's been a while since a lot of people have seen you. Since World Championship. Tell the listeners what have you been up to? What has been happening? Because the last two seasons, unfortunately, the themes haven't suited you. Like they had a new champion, battle for a new champion, which you wouldn't have qualified for, and then now the eras for MTV, the challenge, which you haven't actually been on MTV. It's mainly been Paramount, the challenge. So you haven't really fitted into the themes. But what have you been doing since the last time we saw you in World Championship, and how have you been keeping yourself busy?
Oh, to be honest, I'm going through a lot at the moment. I'm had to drop a life story, but but me and my partner split up like a year ago, not long after the World Series aired. So yeah, I've been going through a lot of change and development and all that. But currently renovating my house. So I've just got the garage done underneath, and I'm about to start on this level, hence the mattress in the background. But
yeah,
but I've been trying to keep training up and whatnot. So I'm just enjoying the solo life, I guess, at the moment, which I've never had. So
firstly, it's sad to hear that. Obviously, last time we spoke to you, I didn't even know that you were still with her. But all the challenge fans out there, all the girls that have been watching you, they'll probably be happy you're back on the market. Plus, if you do get to go out and play the challenge again, I feel like the challenge producers like it when there are potentially some single guys out there and some single girls, because there's showmances that happen on the challenge. Would you ever be in a showman if you were to go out on the challenge? Have you met the right girl out there?
Absolutely. Technically, good choice. Absolutely. Nah, look, I've always said you don't find love in the challenge house, but I'm single now, so maybe you do. Probably not fun.
It'd be a completely different game for you, Troy, if you were to go out there and play again.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like it'd be a completely different game, even now, just with how much I've grown in the last last year or two. It's like, I don't know. I don't feel like I'd stay silent as much. And I've actually been really liking this season, and really liking a certain someone who I didn't expect, but we'll get into that throughout.
Yeah.
And I
love it. I love leaving the audience on a cliffhanger right from the start, but we will get to the bottom of this. Myself and Kahuna, we're going to be on the trail to find out who Troy is standing this specific season. But Kahuna, welcome back to the live as well. How are you at the moment? How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. It's happy Halloween. It's not really normally a thing down in Australia, but when you have 3 young children like me, it becomes very much a thing. So, to our Americans waking up very, very early, happy Halloween anyway. But I'm doing well, man. Had a fun episode, I thought. I'm excited to have Troy back and pick his brain about how he would have attacked certain things in this, and get all these sort of insights. There I am. Look at that.
This Kahuna is Halloween costume for anybody that doubted that Kahuna takes Halloween very seriously. You can tell you've got kids, Kahuna, because I definitely did not dive into the Halloween spirit of things. It's not a big thing in South Africa either. So it's I don't know. I know it's a big holiday.
It hasn't really been traditionally here. Like I didn't grow up with it at all. It's just kind of a new thing, I think, as we get more and more Americanized.
Yeah.
As us 3 people in Australia talking about an American show.
Yeah, very true. But a great American show to talk about. Let's say hello to people who are here early in the live. We've got YouTube Bearcat saying it's too early. I'm assuming it's like 6 a.m. or something over where YouTube Bearcat is. We do appreciate you being up this early. Willie is saying, hey guys, it's very early, but I like this episode. Willie, welcome back as well. And YouTube Bearcat saying, yay, it's Troy. I can only stay a bit. I have to go to bed. Troy would have wiped the floor with M. What Tori and Jordan aren't in love. Oh yeah, okay.
Now their friendship's real though. Afterwards, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, you can see it even in this episode. Like they they are they constantly have each other's back in the game, and you've obviously played with both Jordan and Tori, so you would have seen a little bit of that dynamic in that relationship. So was it that strong even when they were playing that season? Because she was obviously going into the fights with Danny in that season to try and keep Jordan safe and things like that. So I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. But the one thing I'm more interested in is this whole relationship between Bananas and Jordan. That's one I'm very interested in, because you didn't get to play with Bananas too deep into your season, because he did end up going, I feel like, sort of mid to early season that season from memory. But what was the vibe like between both of them in the World Championship? Because they're both, two of the people that we look at as some of the GOATs, like top 4 challengers of all time. Was there a bit of tension between them? Did they get along okay? What was that relationship and dynamic like?
I think they got along pretty good. So my cat's about to jump on me. No, I think they got along pretty good. And I think there's just a mutual respect where they just, as he said, they won't go after one another. But I find really interesting so far this season is that, I feel like Bananas was keeping his end of the deal and not really going after him. But I feel like Jordan kind of has. I don't know. That's the vibe I'm getting from these episodes and the way it's portrayed, is that Jordan's doing absolutely nothing to stick his neck out for Bananas. If anything, I think he's trying to paint Bananas as a bigger target than himself to keep himself safe.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are feeling the same about that, but yeah, I thought
Kahuna, you go for it. What do you think?
Each other.
That Jordan's secretly taking shots behind his back. I don't know. I do think, obviously, they've had a long rivalry and a very bitter rivalry at one point. They really went at each other for a little while there, but I think it was that sharpening that kind of built the friendship, where it's out of respect. It's the Rocky and Apollo sort of thing, after the bell rings, then you become better friends because of it. And I think that's where they are. But because it starts with a rivalry, it's very, very easy to slip back into that. You know what I mean? Jordan and Bananas and Wes has the same thing, right? Wes isn't there. Bananas is doing it with Jordan, I guess. He's got to step into the fray. But yeah, it's smart though to do that. They should be trying to take shots at each other, but in a way where it doesn't really get back to them. And if Jordan is doing that, then that's because Jordan's one of the best to ever do it, and he should be doing that. He sees game, recognizes game. Why not, right?
Yeah, I think Jordan is in that time now. He's in that phase where, Bananas coming into the season, I don't feel like Bananas have got the social capital to help Jordan's game, and Jordan's sitting back. He's got all of the different angles right now and different people that are protecting him in the game at the moment. So I don't know if he thought he was being smooth, but Bananas is clocking him. Bananas is a veteran. He knows that Jordan could do more, and he's not doing it at the moment. So I feel like he's not necessarily throwing Bananas under the bus, but he's also not stepping in front of the bus for Bananas. And he knows that if Bananas is out of the game, he probably can beat him in a final, but it's still Bananas. He's won 7 times. He's still to give him the respect. In some ways, I feel like Jordan is giving him the respect by saying, I'd rather not run a final against you. But I know in the challenge that can, from season to season, sometimes they want to run against the best. So, but definitely, I could see Jordan in the background just thinking, I've got everything I need. I really don't need Bananas in this game. He's not really going to help my game. And every season looks so different, Troy, which is, if you were to go out there and play the game, you got to be careful. You were close with KC the last time you played, but is she going to be your ride or die in the next one? Because she may have other connections that she didn't have the first time she played with you, and you were kind of convenient that season. I think the challenge is such a complex game. Even if you've had allies before, the Vacation Alliance has done something amazing where they've been able to stick together over so many seasons, but I don't think it's easy to do. And I think that a lot of people forget that's not easy to keep a big alliance like that together sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think, I don't know, Jordan's the most intimidating man in that house by a mile. And you don't realize that nobody actually wants to call him out unless he's going to go home or has a high chance of going home. And he knows it. He knows it, and he plays off it too. And I think the fact that Bananas is calling him out in this episode or the episode before, whichever one it was, but at the moment, is great, because nobody does that to Jordan as well. Yeah. And
What have you thought about the way Jordan is handling it, though? Because I've been really impressed by that, because the Jordan that we knew that came onto the scene back in the day, and I don't know if you've seen all of his seasons, but he used to be fiery. Like, he did not hold his tongue, and he's showing a certain level of maturity right now, almost like an athlete that's in their prime. They don't feel like they need to speak up because he knows he can back it with action. He's not really clapping back at Bananas at all. He's just taking it on, and you keep seeing him with a smug smile on his face the whole time, which maybe doesn't make for great TV. But he's. I feel like there's a different subtlety to his game at the moment.
yeah, I think Jordan's only doing that as well, though, because it is Bananas. I think he knows what would happen if he did, and Bananas would blow off his game, and like he already is trying to. So I think.
So there's still that level of respect there.
I think so. I think if that was anybody else, you might be seeing a different Jordan. I just think Jordan knows how Bananas played. He knows what Bananas capable of, as you see in the last episode when he just went bang, 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 shots fired.
This is an entertaining Bananas, though. I think that a lot of us fans have been feeling like in the last couple of seasons, Bananas have had almost like an easy ride to the finals, where a lot of people have wanted to work with him. I know World Championship was a little bit different, but from all the other seasons that he's played in, he's made the finals. He didn't necessarily win, but his social game is so good. And seeing him on the back foot, with so many people against him, taking shots, throwing Hail Marys out there, one of them, Kahuna, sticking with Nia specifically in this episode. Were you impressed with how he was able to drive that wedge in between Nia and Jordan, who've got a very solid relationship outside of the game? I would have argued that if Nia won, it wasn't a foregone conclusion that she would have thrown Bananas necessarily in there, but she was definitely thinking of taking a shot against Jordan.
Yeah, I still don't think she would have taken that shot with Jordan. Like, similar to how Jordan is with Tori, I think they have an actual real life friendship that's built over decades and sex and relationship and all that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's actual past there that I think, even without being named on Jordan's roster of who he's actively working with, he'll still keep an eye on her, even if it's not as proactively. So, and I think Nia would very much do the same thing. Like, I think she'd still kind of, especially if there's other options available, she wouldn't take that shot as a first thing. But I do think it's pretty interesting that Bananas was absolutely on fire as far as the television goes, as far as the camera goes. And I loved how some of the other casts were actually calling him out for it. They were like, Bananas loves this right now. He's getting all the attention. He's getting everything he wants. And at first, I found it really fascinating, because I got the vibe, and maybe it's just me in my old age, I don't know what it is, but like, I'm feeling really nostalgic with this season. Maybe because it's season 40, it's the eras thing, but we've seen era 1 gone, like, absolutely.
Except for Rachel, what an absolute legend for Rachel still to be hanging in there.
Who hasn't been there in 20 years, right? So she's kind of new to it, new to the scene again. But sees everyone gone, CT gone. Bananas is. I'm getting the vibe, like he's very entertaining, but it's out of like desperation, as like a dog in a corner getting hit, and he's just lashing out as best he can, and it's giving us great TV. But he's not like smooth with it, and he's finding the process incredibly difficult. And then we see like Cara Maria like praising Tori, and it just feels like a real transitional season where there's a little bit of, we mentioned the handing over of the torch, but I just keep getting reminded of it over and over again. Like, that's what I'm getting from Bananas, is that he's seeing he's still good, like he performed really well, but it's not as easy as it used to be. He's struggling a lot more.
It's impressive, though. It's so impressive, though, for someone like him.
Tunnel, I think.
It's so impressive for someone like him that's like, 42 or something like that, 41, 42 right now, to still compete with people that are so much younger and still be competitive. I do tip my hat to Bananas. Like, this season without Bananas would have been a snooze fest right now. Like, he is keeping it alive from an entertainment standpoint, I feel like, Troy. And I'm here for the controversial characters, Troy. I like it when there's a little bit, like, there needs to be a little bit of resistance in the house, and I feel like he's bringing that at the moment. I want to shift, though, to someone else that you've played the game with, Troy, and that's Theo. Theo had a massive reputation coming into the season. He did reasonably well your season, went to a final, unfortunately got injured in that final, couldn't finish it from memory. But he had a really big reputation as someone that came second in one of the toughest finals ever on the challenge, and also to an absolute freak of an athlete in Turbo, who won that season. But he had a reputation, and he's really struggling at the moment. What's going on with Troy? With Theo Troy. What's going on with him?
I think the vapes have got to him. No, to be honest, he's a sprinter. I don't know. All I saw on the World Challenge, to be honest, because like you see a lot more and you see him in the gym and you see him running. He was not the best long distance runner ever out of everyone there.
Right?
He's a sprinter. He just wasn't that good. It wasn't his game. He's just massive, dude. I mean, massive. He is huge. And he's very, very strong, but I think he's very good at short bursts.
Right.
Perhaps on that World Challenge season, maybe he was a bit more prepared and didn't party as hard and therefore was a lot fitter. I didn't quite see his entire final for that one. But the World Challenge, I didn't really see that long distance athlete as per se out of him. But you never know.
Theo, Troy's calling you out, mate.
Hey, don't there's been a whole.
This is what we need. We need Troy and Theo on a rival season. Theo
I like Theo too much though. He's too fun. He is so fun. I wish they gave him a bit more airtime because man, he is hilarious in the house.
Yeah. He's got some great one-liners.
He had a really heartwarming, touching moment with Olivia, comforting her.
Petting her.
I could relate to that so much. I feel like that's me trying to comfort someone. It's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Let's see what a few people are saying here in the live. YouTube Cat is saying Nia has to be self-aware that she is not the athlete she was when she was 20. I don't think she proclaims to be. Like, she was part of the Ladies of Leisure. I think she owns the current status that she has. But I still think that seeing Nia and Michelle next to each other, if it was a physical thing that they had to go up against each other, Nia would have, I think, come out on top on that one. Bloody Money is saying, Troy, how are you, mate? Did you see the preview for next week's mini final and the Purge challenge? I don't know about you, but normally when I get to the end, I just very quickly look at the next of. It looked pretty brutal. They were running in sand, Troy. Almost reminded me of, funny enough, Theo's first season where he had to run a final also in like desert-like sort of circumstances. And I felt a little bit worried about the Purge because there's targets, but there could also be people leaving potentially before they even get to an arena.
Yeah, I agree. And I wonder what's going to be with that, what's it called? That penalty. If this penalty is going to carry over. Because who got it? Theo. So is
Theo
going to affect him in a Purge? That's a bit tough. Shit. I'm sorry. That's unlucky.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing I noticed about this season as well, and I don't know if you guys have too, but every time they're in an elimination, and you could see it last week during the daily, it must be really, really hot over there because in the elimination, there was not a single person pretty much without singlet and t-shirt and shorts, which every other season I've been on, everyone's been pretty rugged up, like at that time of night.
It's Vietnam, right?
Vietnam, yeah.
It's Vietnam, so the humidity would be
thick as well, yeah.
So I think that's another thing to take into consideration when you see everybody's endurance and whatnot as well. But I'm pretty excited for it.
Bloody Money is saying Fessy and Theo rivals on Twitter. I saw Fessy take shots at Theo on Twitter. Fessy said, well, this is something in the likes of not that impressed by this Theo guy who's in Era 4 or something like that with his performances. But because Fessy probably missed out on that with Theo being in his place. Taking some pot shots from the sideline, but it's good. We need this in the challenge. We need some of this rivalries in the challenge. I think it all makes for a more entertaining season. YouTube Cat is saying Rome is available for casting. Right. I think Kahuna, Rome would be in a bad spot if he goes and plays the challenge. I know you probably don't know who he is. Troy is a Survivor player, very very lippy. I don't know how you would do on the challenge though.
Oh, he doesn't. His bark is a lot worse than his bite. He did not back up his talk at all in the challenges, man. He was not good, despite him saying that he's Michael Jordan to Kurt Heinrich. Like it's embarrassingly how
He would put
bad he
himself in
was.
clutch positions and then fumble. But
Yeah.
he's a funny personality. He would be funny to watch. I don't think he would go deep though. Lena saying Nia's vaping has damaged her physically also. Yeah, especially when it comes to like running and stuff. There was a big storyline on the Challenge All Stars where she ended up in hospital because of vaping. Vaping is such a dangerous thing to do. So obviously that would have messed with her cardiovascular system. YouTube Cat is saying 30 degrees and humid. Yep, that sounds really bad. So this daily though, Troy, I felt like this was the perfect episode to get you on. Let's be real. You're a ninja warrior. You're someone that's nippy. This would have been right up your wheelhouse. Like, I reckon,
Doesn't even need a harness.
Kylan ended up winning this, but I feel like someone with Kylan's build, like he should not have won this. Someone with your build should win something like this. Surely if you were out there, this would have been the type of daily you would want to see.
Oh, look, I would have just steamrolled this one, to be honest. They wouldn't have stood a chance.
I agree. Own it.
Without sounding arrogant, but no, look, providing I didn't fall, yeah, this was definitely my sort of challenge, and I didn't get stumped on the puzzle. The puzzle didn't look too bad, though. But unless you're up there actually doing it.
Yeah, there was like 3 or 4 pieces.
I think there was 3 pieces. Yeah, I think there was 2 sides and like a top. I was like, okay. But nah, yeah, you definitely picked a good one in terms of dailies. But I guess a lot of people don't climb those ropes those rope ladders that are actually quite loose and actually do move around a bit, and they can be difficult to maneuver at times. And as Jordan actually said, a really good tip: the key is to use your legs. Like the second you get your legs on, you should use them. Especially if you're Michelle.
I was just going to say, with the rope ladder being more difficult, should we take it easier on Michelle?
Look, probably not. I don't think Michelle helped herself with her technique, to be honest, because she obviously lacks pulling power because she couldn't really pull herself up, but she was putting her legs just in very poor spots.
Yeah,
they're just like not in places where she could bend them and push up, because she was leaning back instead of pulling towards the wall and then using her legs to push up. She was just kind of straight leg, straight arm, which only leaves you to pull with your arms.
Yeah.
And you could tell she just gassed out. So she could have put her legs on the rope ladder. She could call the ladder. I don't know. Yeah. I'm very surprised that she couldn't make it up there, but in her defense, she was using probably the worst technique.
I wasn't surprised about Michelle, because I like Michelle. I want Michelle to do well. She's actually someone that has grown on me a lot in this season. But I wasn't surprised because she doesn't really have that upper body strength. And we've spoken about it. She's played Survivor a few seasons. She's a Survivor winner. Went to the final in the second season that she played with all winners. So good strategist, good socially, that type of thing. But challenges, even in Survivor, was never her thing. Like, some people have just got natural athleticism. Other people don't. That's never been her thing. So I wasn't too shocked by that. But a person who did shock me, Kahuna, I'm a big Cara Maria fan. Like, Cara Maria is my girl. I support her all the way. They talked about her being a rock climber. She didn't even make it up the ladder. What's going on with Cara Maria this season, Kahuna? And, her giving all the respect to Tori, which is well-deserved. Like, Tori has turned into what you've always said she could be. She's a legitimate challenger this season, and she's having a great season. But what's going on with Cara Maria?
I don't know, man. Like, she's been out of practice. Like, yes, she did All Stars and she came back as a guest on Battle of the Champs, but like, she was away for a long time, right? And she's come back on the most difficult circumstances you could possibly have. Like, this is the best season they could have put together. Like, maybe with a handful of different people here and there, they really put together a murderer's row, especially on the women's side of the equation. Like, she's been out of practice. She's getting older. There's young blood coming up, and it's harder to stay above the fray. Like, it's not to say she's still not good. It's just harder to do it, and it's hard to do it consistently. Like we're seeing with Bananas. Like, to me, my favorite basketball player of all time is LeBron James. Right? This man is in year 22 of his career. He's literally playing with his adult son, which is crazy, right? And he's putting up freak numbers every now and then, right? And this is kind of what I'm seeing with Cara Maria and Banana, is that they still have it in them where there's very, very high potential, but to do it week in, week out, non-stop against a higher level of competition as well, is a bigger ask. The older you get, the longer you do it. They've still got the performances there. It's just that we're going to see it every 2 or 3 episodes, not every episode.
Yeah. And I want to pivot from that because I think it's a great segue question we can ask Troy as someone that has experienced some of this. When he played in the Challenge Australia, actually, you had that big pole wrestle that you had to do. It was a killer of elimination that you had to do. And then you had to run a final, I believe, the next day, which meant that you had all of that fatigue heading into the final, right? Someone like Michelle, who just had this brutal elimination where she had to carry so many boxes that were quite heavy and strength isn't necessarily her thing. How much of a role will this play for Michelle going into a mini final where she's going to have to go run, row, and all those kind of things? Like for a lot of us viewers, I don't know if we always appreciate the wear and tear of doing challenge daily after daily and the recovery that's needed with that as well.
Yeah, but you got to remember she had a rest on the last daily. Joking. Nah. Look, it would play a big factor, but also most of the time after your elimination, you've got a day off. So you do during the season anyway. So that should probably have the whole next day. It's called an interview day. You go do interviews and just hang around the house, and then you go to the next daily. So it depends on how exhausted she got herself. And that looked like actually a very physical elimination. And good on her for going out and getting it, because that's what I mean. Like, it must have been her technique when she was climbing up that ladder, because she didn't struggle with those boxes. Like, she just didn't.
Yeah.
And I thought that would have been more taxing on you, to be honest, than
climbing the ladder.
Like,
it's technique.
I reckon it must have been her tech. Yeah, just her technique had obviously a lot to play. Whereas she was obviously a lot better technique-wise picking up the boxes. But to answer your question, I think it definitely can play a role. If it will or not, I'm not entirely sure, especially with the heat over there, because, you know, she could be going through a bit of DOMs in her arms and her quads maybe, and it's not going to help. I've always found that I can push through the pain anyway. And I think Michelle's actually showed a lot of guts this season. And I think she's got that ability as well to push on through. And I don't think you'll notice it affect her if it does. But I most certainly think it would to some extent, but maybe not as much as you think.
I don't think it matters.
You don't think it matters at all?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing working against her, to be honest, in a purge is that you've got Tori, Jenny, Cara Maria, Laurel, Rachel. Like, it doesn't, like, she could feel the best she's ever felt in her entire life. Like, she's got
You're not keeping us honest.
Yeah. Like,
you're not wrong. I didn't think about the competitors. I just thought about her as an individual and how she would perform. But what you're saying is essentially Michelle at 80% isn't going to make a difference whether she was at 100% or 80%. She would not going to beat Laurel.
Not against us.
At this stage, we reckon. And I mean, even if you look at Aviv, Aviv was so impressive on this daily, really such a pocket rocket, you know, Troy out there, but managed to get through everything again, showing that the technique for her was good doing it. I was impressed by Jenny. Jenny just smashed this, you know. Again, like when you look at Jenny, you think she could do Gladiator UK. She's got that ball, and she again proved it on this specific episode, being able to get through it. Big episode for Jenny, and I don't know, like I kind of felt strange about Michelle trying to make Jenny feel bad about winning, and then having that conversation like, hey, this is not about you. Like, main character syndrome, like, in my opinion, from Michelle there. Like, Kahuna, what was your thoughts about that? Like, Jenny finally gets power. Finally, she's not the one in the hot seat, and Michelle doesn't give a crap. She's like, look, you can stay quiet. This is not about you, actually. What do you mean? She's the one that needs to make the decision. She won the daily.
Yeah. It's just, I like that it can never be about Jenny. Even when she wins, like, she's literally in power. And it's not about you, Jenny. And like, even when she's the victim, she's at the bottom, she's saving the team. It's not about you sometimes, Jenny. It's about the rest of the team, right? It's just constantly, it's this poor girl just tries her ass off, finally gets her moment to gloat, and Michelle still takes it away from her. Like, that's why Michelle's good for TV, but it was pretty shitty to take that off that moment, the single moment Jenny gets to actually feel good about herself in the show, and she takes that away too.
That's
I reckon
crazy.
Jenny could have chimed in then and been like, because she was like, oh yeah, well, we've always treated you with respect and this, that, and the other. I mean, like, oh, what? Respect, chucking me every second week. You actually have the ability to. You're chucking me in over and
Yeah.
over again. None of you are volunteering for me. That's when I really feel like she could have had a really good moment and just said, nah, this is what happened.
You see, if
I'm happy
Jenny
about you guys being there.
was bananas, that would have happened, or if she
Yeah.
was weird, something like that. And that is I think personally, that is the difference between people who get called back season after season. They know when they need to clap back, but also when, like, Jenny comes across as a smart game player because she still says it at least to the camera afterwards. I thought she had probably her best episode in Confessional. So you don't always have to say to someone's face, but when you've got a bit of an aura about you, you've played the game a few times, and you start doing those TV moments, like Bananas knows when to turn it up.
Yeah.
That is what's sort of lacking a little bit from Jenny. I just want to read a couple of comments, and then I have a question for you based on the fact that we're talking about Jenny as a strong female competitor. Dolores here is saying, good point on Cara Maria. I feel there's these last 2 episodes, I've not seen a lot of her. She's definitely taken a backseat, Dolores. But Cara is legendary. She'll come back. I have faith. She'll have some, especially if she starts getting in trouble. I think we'll see more from her in the confessionals. Erica saying, so excited to hear from Troy. Yes, Erica, we've got Troy in the house. Sit back and relax. He's already added a lot of value to this podcast. Danica, hello. Good morning. It's been a while since we've heard from you. Hope everything is going well in Florida and that things are starting to calm down. I know you've had a tough go at it there the last couple of weeks. Lena saying, poor Jenny. And Danica saying, they've already set the stage for Aviv to be out with the planters fasciitis. What is that?
Plantar fasciitis.
Yes, with the okay, I got it. Yep, yeah, with the true. So she's probably going to be one of the people that are going to get
on the floor because of plantar fasciitis.
Got you. Ellen saying, hey guys, once again, don't watch the channels, but I wanted to watch TNT stream, so I'm here. Well, Ellen, welcome. Even if you don't watch, just sit back, relax, and be a part of the conversation, and hopefully you find some entertainment out of it. I've got a question for you, Troy. So you've seen this season, you've seen the level of competitors with the girls out there. If you could choose a girl that you haven't played with yet, so that takes Tori out of it, right? Who would you team up with from the cast that is still left? Who have you been impressed by this season? If you could choose a partner in a future season, and why?
I need a girl that is very big physically to complement me.
She has to keep up with your physicality, is what you're saying.
No, the opposite. She needs to make up for my lack of physicality. Although I think I'm quite physical, I'm just not very big. That's all.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, and to be honest, I'm not sure our personalities would go well together. But Laurel, to be honest, I think.
Jeez, yeah.
I think she'll just be a very physical. And she's very competitive, and I know she's not going to give up even if she hates me, which I could appreciate, as long as I was tied to her anyway. Yeah, as long as I was tied to her, I mean, I was going home and she was going, although she's pretty petty, maybe she would.
You would automatically attract a lot of heat though. You'd have people targeting just.
Yeah, but they're also scared of Laurel, so let's bring the heat. I don't know. I went at the end of last season I was on, World Challenge, I had a lot of heat on me, obviously, and ended up going elimination. And I think, and this is what I've really liked, there you go, bombshell, Bananas this season, is he's got the heat and he's went with it. And that's something that I perhaps should have done as well when I was on it, but I was like, nah, too busy still trying to not get the next elimination. All it meant was I just kept getting thrown back in. I think what Bananas is doing and what Laurel does is actually really good. You get thrown in once, I know if you make a big deal about it, you try and plant some spot fires. You try and get the target off you, because if you don't do anything in that challenge house, and it's the biggest thing I learned from the World Championship and having to go on in 3 times pretty much in a row, if you don't do something about it, you're going to be the default and you're going to keep going back in. Your name's now easy to say. So make it not easy to say inside the house. Make it uncomfortable. And I think, it makes for great viewing. It might not make for great, like, people judge you. Yeah, who cares? But it actually does take the target off you. Although it's not working for Bananas, but at least he's putting target on other people at the moment, And I think
Troy back on.
I think Laurel
Troy
did it really well at the start, where she was getting targeted a lot, and then she had a big blue with Cara, and pretty much put nearly all the girls on notice. Like, nah, I'm not working with anybody. Like, if you come at me, I'm going to come at you. And I think a lot of people backed off from it, and I think there must have been a lot happening in that house that you didn't get to see as well. I'm not saying I
think there's a lot of truth to it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to it. Like, I'm not the biggest Laurel fan, but there is a thing about the challenge where if, like, someone like CT, Laurel, she does have that, like I've always said, I respect her for what her body of work of what she's achieved within the challenge, because people will be intimidated by that. And if they're going to throw you in, you may as well be next to someone that is bloody difficult to beat in an elimination. And Laurel is one of those people. You need someone that's going to be at that level. So not a bad pick at all. I think if you look at Laurel and Jenny at this stage, Jenny is physically capable. She's very strong. She probably wouldn't let you down either. But I'm not seeing that X factor with Jenny when it comes to being able to play like the social strategic game. I don't see it. She gets pissed off, but she doesn't have that something extra, which I think Laurel can play that game. This season hasn't worked out for her because she's been in with a bunch of people that she hasn't really played with. The Vacation Alliance was a big part of the season early on. Cara Marie and her don't get along, so immediately she's in the outs there. She's probably turned some people off because a lot of them have chosen Cara Maria's side in this, but that's not going to be every single season she plays, right? It does depend on the dynamic and who she's playing with. So I don't think it's a bad choice, actually. What do you think of that, Kahuna, of a Troy and Laurel potential duo in a future season?
I mean, Laurel's one of the greatest, right? Like, you can't ever really say that Laurel's a bad pick to have as a teammate.
You'd be taking a bazooka to a fist fight.
Yeah, like you definitely, if you're doing a draft, she's got to be towards the top, like, no matter what. And as you said, Troy, like, as far as her complementing your skills specifically, it would be a really good combo. I do like someone said that, who was it? Someone said Killer Cam. Danica said Killer Cam would be a good match for you. I like that.
Oh yeah, Killer Cam. Yeah, I like Killer Cam.
Yeah.
I think should be a good strategist for me too, and help me maneuver through the house. Because I think she's one that
we need Leroy to start looking after the kids, and for Killer Cam to get back. Leroy's he's not holding up his end of the bargain right now. Killer Cam needs to come get the money, and I think with you, Troy, she would have a really good duo there as well. Let's see what people are saying here. YouTube Bearcat says, no, stay away from Laurel. He reckons that Laurel would lose the challenge on a date, on a men's day, to get rid of Troy. I'm
talking about being connected.
Yeah,
I'm talking about being connected.
He goes home. He goes home.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Otherwise, you're right. She's petty. That's what I said. Which I'm even worried that even if I was connected and I pissed her off too much, that she would take me out with her,
I don't think she's Amanda. Stay away from Amanda. Yeah, Amanda's the one that would tank your game with her game if she gets pissed,
Look, maybe she's not that petty, but all you can go by as well is what you're being portrayed and what's happening on the screen. So
exactly.
You still have to have done those things, but yeah.
Yeah. Danica's saying, yes, we got a new roof soon. Let's hope this one lasts longer than 2 months. Glad hurricane season ends soon. Thank goodness. Like, I take my hat off to people who live in Florida. They get battered with this year in and year out. They've got the hurricanes coming in. Let's see what other people are saying here. YouTube Bearcat is just going in. It's going in. Emily said that Laurel is beatable this season, that she was really out of shape. Danica saying it would be a strong duo, but your social game would lack. Cam has the social skills. That is correct. Cam definitely does. Now, you talked about the fact that when you're playing the game and if someone's taking a shot at you, you need to make the most out of it. And if we think about Michelle this episode, she got the opportunity to take a shot back after having been nominated, and she went after 3 champions, Nehemiah, Jordan, and Bananas. I actually thought prior to her choosing, I was like, you've got to throw Jordan and Bananas both in at the same time and hope that they're going to get each other in an elimination together where one of them will have to go home because you don't want both of them in the game. And then I thought you'd have to put another really good competitor in there with it. Now, Michelle's close to quite a few people in the game. Was Nehemiah the right choice, or should it have been Corey in this case, Troy? What do you reckon?
Depends, because I don't know where she was socially, but I actually reckon Nehemiah is a sleeper agent. I actually reckon he's quite good. Like, especially, I feel like eliminations. Maybe the puzzle side of things he might be lacking, but just judging by what everyone else is saying physically, like, I don't know, he's quite a big guy. I don't know whether he'll be able to take Jordan out, though, in endurance or physical, which is my only concern. And then obviously, I wouldn't think he would get puzzles. But
I would have loved to have seen Corey and Jordan go up against each other. I think Jordan is a slight favorite in most instances, especially if it's anything that has some sort of dexterity or skill or smarts about it. I think Jordan definitely has it. I think if it's an out just physical athletic thing, Corey is in with a shot. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize about Corey is that he pound for pound has like one of the most impressive elimination records. He's never won the challenge outright. He's been a runner-up many times, always falling short. But I think the last time we looked at it, Kahuna, he's on his way to becoming probably the best elimination challenger of all time. So I think just from that perspective, if you want to take someone like a Jordan or a Bananas out to put someone in there that is proven to be great at eliminations, isn't a bad thing to do. But I do agree. I mean, there's 3 champions, and she took, like, I take my hat off to Michelle. She didn't play a scared game in this moment. She could have fumbled, and she picked 3 really big targets.
Yeah, but I feel like there's only big targets left as well in the men as well. So I feel like you can't not play a scared game at the moment. Oh, except for maybe, but even Derek. I met Derek in Phoenix, and man, he's got good endurance. Like, and very good social skills. And it's like, just remember, every guy you put in might come after you back. And I can't see Nehemiah necessarily winning dailies, just because I don't think he's that sort of player, but I can see him winning eliminations. Probably couldn't see him winning a final, but again, I'm not in the house and never played with him, so I got no idea. But I feel like he'd be good in eliminations. I don't know why, but I do agree with you with Corey. But I think the problem with Corey is that he can win dailies too, and he can win finals. So it's like, I mean, as far as a man goes, I guess she's not going to compete against Corey, so you could put Corey in. But then, do you want Corey coming after you if he's got that good elimination record? Do you want him coming back and coming after you again and again and again and again and again? So she's probably also got to consider that as well. And if she hasn't,
Corey claps back. He 100% claps back. We've seen it this season. He doesn't take it lying down. So it's all good points. What did you think of the picks for Michelle after she won the elimination, Kahuna? Did you like it?
Yeah, like I think maybe Corey could have been the only thing that might have been better. I do think as good as Nehemiah is in that trio, I would put him at the bottom, like odds on to come back. Like I would pick Bananas over him. I would pick Jordan over him. Corey, I think, has more outs. Like there are more challenges where he is stronger than Bananas or Jordan than Nehemiah might have. Like Nehemiah is strong, but I don't think he's would be as dominant in a strength game as Corey would over either of them. He's very fast, but I don't think he's as fast as Jordan or as Corey. Like, you know what I mean? Like his stats wise, he's good, but I still think he gets pipped by Corey in most things. And if your goal is to take out either one of Bananas or Jordan, Corey would have been my assassin pick kind of thing. I don't want to put him in, but I'm putting someone that I think could come back more likely than Nehemiah. That would have been my shot.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. YouTube Bearcat here says Michelle rocked the elimination. Her confidence was backed. Loved her shots. So I agree. Like we spoke a little bit about it. She really did a good job there. Nia struggled with the math. And this is just one of those things where if you're not good at math, you are not going to win this, right? Right off the bat. But I thought it was it was a quite a good elimination to watch. Like, it was easy to follow for the most part of it. I know, Kahuna, you can be critical sometimes of eliminations if it's not the right kind of spectacle. What did you think of this one? Very simple math, unlock, the lock, pick up boxes and move it from one end to the other end. Is this the kind of elimination that did it for you, or were you left wanting more?
No, I liked it because I think it showcased a good skill set, like to have the maths, to have even strategy wise, Nia doing all the chains first, whereas Michelle was doing it bit by bit. Like, there's different elements to it, along with the strength, along with endurance. And it's okay to have something like that, especially when you're painting an entire episode, when you have the big visual spectacular, the Super Mario Brothers of the daily. You can then balance it with a smaller elimination that is a little bit more grueling, a little bit more endurance intensive, because you've had the big splashy sort of thing, the first time around. So I really appreciated that. The thing about the challenge is that it always, maybe not episode to episode, but across a season, you're going to see it push different elements, different skills, different things constantly. And to have that one here, I thought was great.
For me personally, I feel like the producers have maybe listened to the fans a little bit, because what they did with the specific math equations is they put it on the opposite side of the box so that the people that were sitting on the sidelines couldn't shout out the answers and help. That's something that I know us as fans definitely most of us don't like it. Like, we don't like it if they gang up on a specific target and they try and help one specific individual. So I really enjoyed the fact that they were really out there on their own, to the point where some people were wondering if Nia was still there, if she was awake, if she was still working on the math equation in the back end, because she was sort of sitting there for so long and they just didn't know what was going on with Michelle moving a lot of the boxes around. But I feel like, Troy, this would have been something that would have been right up your wheelhouse. How would you have felt going in and doing an elimination like this?
Oh, I would have loved this one too. Yeah, personally, I love maths.
What a
I
nerd.
love them all, don't I? I do. I like maths, which you would have seen my elimination against Darrell when we had to figure out that maths equation before we opened the lock or whatever it was. But I don't know. I think at this point now, if you're on the challenge and you're not doing maths, what are you doing?
There's a lot of money at stake, right, Troy? There's a lot of money at stake winning one of these seasons.
And
like what are they winning this season? Like 500,000 US?
It's like Darrell. Imagine, 500,000 US each. So it's like, imagine Darrell, like, what do you have? Like 554, whatever it was, times 2. And you go to the sand to write it down, like, and that's the reason you go home. Like, oh man, like that would just kill you, wouldn't it?
Troy said to get to this point in the challenge, I feel like saying to get to like this point in life, you should be able to do the level of maths they have on the show. It's not freaking like quadratic equations and stuff. It's always very basic maths on it.
Yeah.
And they struggle.
You'd be surprised, Kahuna.
It's entertaining. It's entertaining to watch people struggle at math, and they know it. So they're not going to put everybody in there that's really good at math or really good at puzzles, because they want that for the drama. But yeah, looked like a fun challenge. Looked like one. I mean, I love the fact that they gave them the ability to write on the boxes. So it's not like some of them where you're maybe like trying to in the sand write or something like that. That makes it so much easier when you can write it down. Because I've always said I struggle doing a lot of complex math in my head, but if I can write it down, I'm solid, right? That's always my biggest issue when I watch it. And I'm sure when you're out there in the sand, it's probably math becomes a lot harder than what it would be doing it at home, because you're under pressure and you're going up against someone that's trying to beat you, and you're on TV. So I'm sure some people just fumble under the pressure as well. Danica saying, whose side is Josh on at the moment? He seems to be flip-flopping this season. And it was interesting to note that when I think it was Michelle was talking about who's in her alliance, she didn't mention Josh. Like, Josh was not a part of Tori. I think Tori was talking about it. Yeah, Josh was not in that group that Tori was talking about at all. So I don't know where Josh's head is in the game, Kahuna. What's Josh doing?
He was sitting in the bedroom when Johnny was talking to his angels, and like he was in the discussion with them as well. Like, he was there. So it hasn't really been addressed, but I don't know with Josh. Like, I just feel like Josh just wants to be friends with everyone. That's his thing.
Yeah. But again, I always give shout outs to Josh for how he's improved himself physically from where he was when he first started the challenge. He's someone that actually does put in the work in the off season. He does train. He does try and improve himself. He's a big dude and he got through this daily, right? He actually did the whole thing. So shout out for Josh for being able to do that. One thing we didn't get to see, apparently he injured himself this episode, banged up his knee pretty badly, didn't make the cut on the actual show. 16 stitches is what he got for this one here. And he also missed out on the fight night at the bar. He wasn't there. So interesting. I wonder if that's going to play an effect in the purge, because if it would have played an effect, I'm sure they would have shown us something by now, Troy. They like to do storytelling. He injured his knee, like Derek injured himself. Like, does this mean that maybe Josh is not going to fall in the next week, or can we see a flashback potentially of where he has injured himself prior to this run that he needs to do in the next episode?
No, your guess is as good as mine with the editing, to be honest. Sometimes they include stuff, sometimes they don't. I don't know. Do
you like Josh, Troy, from what you've seen? Are you a Josh fan, or what do you reckon? Did you ever get to meet him when you were out in the US?
No, I never got to meet him. I don't know. I feel like he flip-flops at his earliest convenience. But in saying that, though, he might just be super loyal to people and he just never tells anybody who those people are. So it might seem like to everyone else he's flip-flopping, but really he's had a game plan the whole time and it's just really, really friendly to everybody, which is kind of what the strategy I have as well when I go into a season is you try and be friends with everybody and you just be yourself and be a human, and hopefully people won't put you in because of that. And even if they don't put you in because of it, they will put other people in they don't like more or they're fighting with, and then you're in the middle just kind of staying out of drama. And I guess that's what his strategy is and that's what he's good at. But I think what's wrong with him is that he is part of like the Vacation Alliance, and when it is his time to stand up, he wants to still stay in the shadow, and he kind of gets put in this awkward situation, like, I always get put in this awkward situation, and then he always kind of worries himself out of it, and everyone goes, oh my god, it's just Josh. And I don't know if he does that on purpose. Like, I don't know, is anybody really that naive, I guess?
I don't know. I feel like he's just I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think Josh is a very big people's person and probably a bit of a people pleaser. He's probably someone who grew up not necessarily, and again, I don't know his past, so I could be completely wrong. He probably didn't grow up with the group of massive amount of friends like that he's got right now. He won Big Brother, got a bit of money from that, a little bit of fame, got into the challenge, become great friends with a lot of people, and now he just tries to be everybody's friend, and he's just really social. And like you said, that puts him in an awkward spot. But I feel like this season has done a lot of damage to Josh when it comes to the Vacation Alliance, because the challenge is never one season. It's a body of work. And I feel like if people look back at this season and those that have gone before him, like Casey and that, Casey is not going to look at him in the same way next season. She'll probably work with him to a certain degree, but surely she'll think to herself, well, this is not a guy I can rely on. This is not a number that I can rely on in the game. And if someone like you are playing the game, who she has been able to rely on in a previous season, she probably would look more favorably at someone like yourself, where she's like, this guy at my back, we were literally in the sand together. We had to fight for our life in the game. But if I now compare Josh to him, I don't know if Josh is at that level, even though she's spent a lot more time with him, playing a lot more seasons. I do feel like your past comes back to bite you in the challenge. It's kind of like Nehemiah said, he's never really betrayed anyone, so that does make him a loyal ally if people do want to work with him. And that's worked out for him this season because Rachel's trying to, and by the way, so impressed with Rachel, her buy one, get one free strategy. Wherever she goes and gets one person, she's like, can you also put a good word in for me with your friend so that we can be in an alliance together? I love what she's doing, but we haven't spoken enough about Rachel, but she's just in the shadows. Like, Bananas is thinking it's Bananas Angels, and in the background Rachel's like, I'm attached to everyone. So I don't know how in the Bananas Angels Rachel really is at this stage, Troy.
Oh, no, I reckon she's well and truly in there. Absolutely.
You reckon it's all the way to the end, Bananas and his Angels?
She's got outs.
Yeah, I do actually, because I reckon that they've realized that Bananas has just blown the house up. He's gone bush, 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 fired up with gasoline. So he's going to be the hot topic for a while. And I think they're like, why wouldn't you have the guy that's going to go in the eliminations the most as your friend? He's only going to protect you. And then if you ever get an elimination, all you got to do is just not say his name, just one person, when you got like 7 others to choose from. I don't know. That seems like a no-brainer. Like if I was Rachel or any of Bananas Angels, to be honest, like what he's done is actually make a bad situation advantageous for himself. And I think he's done that really well this season, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been impressive. It's been impressive. The loyalty he has from the likes of Jenny and Laurel, for instance, is insane. Aviv has found herself. Like, he's actually, you know, Darrell could have had Aviv this season. Like, they've literally won a season together. They've played together. And Darrell did not take the opportunity to I don't know, work with her in the game. But Bananas has gone, I'll take her. I'll take her under my wing. I'll play with her. And you've got to take your hat off for Bananas. Like, I mean, the guy can be obnoxious, but he's bloody good TV and he knows how to play the game. Like, he knows how to maneuver from the bottom, the top, the middle, everywhere. He's been there. He's done so many seasons. He knows how to do it. So I'm not surprised, Troy, you're sitting there at home and you're taking some notes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's
keep saying he's good and he'll love you too, Troy.
Oh, yeah, I know that. Just that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if I blow enough smoke up his ass, he won't come straight up to me if I ever play the season with him. Oh, nah.
Maybe he'll put a good word in for you with production to get you in on the next season because, you know, Bananas can use some allies right now. It seems like he doesn't have that many.
Yeah, it sounds like everybody's against him. I think after this season, it'll actually make future seasons very interesting because of this divide that's kind of happening now. Because even when new people come on, I think for the first time in a long time, it's going to be a lot easier for new people to maybe find their footing in the game, knowing that there's already a divide happening. And it's not just going to be, oh, the vets are all grouping up and the rookies are like trying to group up, but they can't because the Vacation Alliance or the other alliances are so good at just splitting them up or making them think they're friends, but then somehow just keep picking them off. And the rookie's like, oh, yeah, no, our game's going well. Excuse me, all the people that you could work with are going home. Like,
yeah.
I think for future seasons, hopefully this clash that's happening right now really helps. But it's one of those things where Bananas has said and always will say, like, you know, just because he's your enemy today doesn't mean he'll be your enemy tomorrow. Like, he's happy to mend relationships and he's happy to which is dangerous, I think. Mind you, I don't think any of those relationships are getting mended this season. I think that's well and truly done. But yeah, I've actually really enjoyed.
Shots fired.
Yeah, I've actually really enjoyed watching him play the game this season.
Yeah, it's a different Bananas. This is vintage Bananas.
Oh,
You're seeing vintage Bananas come out. Yeah.
And I feel like if he had survived that elimination on World Championships, I felt like we would have got a very similar Bananas in that because they didn't show up. He came out with like his suit that was like Bananas versus the world costume on and was parading around the house and was being like a bit of a dick, to be honest. But, you know,
no, not Bananas.
Imagine if he had to come back. Like, you know, he would have done probably the very similar thing to what he's doing this season on that season. And maybe, I don't know, the whole game would have looked different, you know, from there in the World Championship. But I've kind of enjoyed watching it though.
Yeah, it's been.
If he makes
really
the final, good on him. Off the back of this,
I want to see it. I actually want to see. I want to see the best make the final. I want to see whoever. I do think it's gonna. And again, this is probably a good point for you to sort of weigh in on this. But you know, you've run the final against Jordan before. You know what he's capable of. I don't know if there's anybody currently in this season that can really take him. Like, I like Kyland. I think Kyland is an up-and-comer. He's a future. We've said on this podcast before, Kyland's a future champion, most likely. He's got a lot of the tools to do it. He's taken out a lot of champions in eliminations. He's a very smart guy, seems to be like, we'll see how he goes in the mini final. I don't know if we've seen him run a mini final before, but that will probably be really telling on how his cardio is. But he's someone that is an up and comer, but he doesn't have it in the gas tank yet. He doesn't have the experience to take someone like Jordan on. Like, is there anybody outside of Jordan at this stage that you've got your eye on where you're like, oh, if it's not Bananas, which it'll be a tough ask for Bananas because he's not in his prime right now, and Jordan, I feel like, is in his prime.
Yeah, the sad thing is, especially with the humidity in Vietnam, I think that only exaggerates cardio even more. If you looked at Tory in the other one and Jordan in the balls one when they shot the balls, obviously Tory has done a lot of work in the off season, and you can tell because she was fit on World Championship, but I think this level of cardio that she showed me the other week was real impressive. Like, she beat Rachel and Laurel in pretty much,
and Cara Maria, who's good at CrossFit,
yeah,
so
and like didn't just beat them to solving the puzzle afterwards, but like beat them getting the balls in as well. And Jordanimal, I think he's called Jordanimal for a reason, and if it's humid and it comes down to a cardio running race, I'm sorry, but everyone's going to be hard pressed to beat him, which is why it's so impressive that he just, like, he got targeted this week, but like he doesn't skate past, but just everyone's afraid to put him in. I get why the girls don't want him in.
Troy. Like, what's impressive with Jordan is that he's not afraid to throw himself in. Like, even when he had to nominate himself, he's like, I'll go in there. I will win eliminations. I'm not going to play a scared game. So how do you beat someone who's not afraid of going in? Like, he's a difficult, like you said, animal to play against, right?
Well, that's what I mean. That's what makes it intimidating as well, isn't it? So you don't want to put him in unless he's going to go out, because he's going to come for you. Which is why he is very, very difficult to play against and play with, in saying that, because at the same time, I really like him as a person, and I was very similar to him. We're both very athletically minded. We've both got very similar mindsets where we don't care who we get in the final with, we'll just beat them.
Yeah.
And that, for me, makes it more difficult, because then it's like, okay, well, then if I put you in,
you come back,
and then you're going to come back and get me out, but then it's kind of, I don't know, I feel like my ego takes a hint, because it's like, no, I wouldn't beat you in a final when I think I would. I genuinely think I would. But in saying that, like, he is an animal, and like, why would anybody want to see him? Like, why would any male want to see him in a final? I get the female's point, but why would any male want to see him in a final? Like, let's be honest,
I agree.
He's a monster. He's a beast. He's good at it.
I just realized as well, you're talking about the heat and the humidity in Vietnam, that obviously finals are very grueling endurance events. Bananas, maybe being one of his top challenges, most recently was doing House of Villains. Do you remember why Jordan was so late coming onto he actually missed the first opening night or whatever it was? Do you remember why, Chris?
Sorry, what was the question? I was
Jordan, why he was late to the season. He missed the opening.
No, was it because he was doing the race car driving that he was?
Yeah, he's a professional athlete, race car driver. They're like in the hottest outfits, like humidity driving nonstop. That is a complete endurance sport. And he just went from that to this. Like, he is absolutely.
He's just ready because he stays ready. The guy just keeps training.
Like, his off season is another professional sport, like professional level sport. Like, that's why.
That's why I want to see Troy. That's why I want to see Troy now, because I know when you're in a relationship, it does take a knock on your freedom and your free time to be able to train. I feel like, Troy, you would have been a man on a mission for the last year now with your training. You would have stayed ready.
That's actually quite the opposite.
Oh, really?
I was going through a tough time.
This is the right thing to say, by the way, for any challengers listening. Troy's not in peak shape right now if he was to play. So
I need to get back in peak shape just in case. But to be honest, like, after my breakup, I went through a lot, and I don't know, I just wasn't enjoying the same things that I used to. Like, I didn't enjoy ninja. I didn't go to ninja training for like 2 months, which I go every single week. So I was like, ninja training, obstacle training. Anyway, you get the point. Ninja training.
Throwing smoke bombs.
Yeah, literally throwing smoke bombs and using nunchucks and shurikens. Anyway, so yeah, like, I just didn't train, and now, like, it took me a while to it actually took me playing AFL because I'd retired because it's just so injury prone. It took me playing AFL to get back into sport and get back to being fit again, which I mean, thankfully I'm on the uphill now, but it was like a very weird part of my life where you're right, I should be as fit as I've ever been. I've got the most free time I've ever had, yet
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, it's like I didn't know who I was anymore, I guess. Anyway, this has
Yeah.
gone really deep. Let's not talk
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
your stream.
no, it's fair, mate.
But
Like, I
yeah,
mean, you were with her for quite
so
a while, right? So, I mean, that
11
would have
years,
definitely, yeah, that would definitely play in your mind. Like, you kind of, your habits become in sync. So I can see how that would have been a real sort of challenge to work through. And just want to say, keep telling people on any podcast that you go that you're out of shape, you don't train anymore. You know,
I
like
will.
get the word out there just
I'm
in
trash.
case people do. Yeah, I'm trash. Like, don't worry about me. I'm a layup. You can take me to the final, and then behind the
What's
scenes, you know, just go train.
What do they say? Zach singers. I reckon at the start of every season, he's got the best man at a wedding that he's got to be off. Like he's only going to be there for the first 4 weeks, and so nobody puts him in for the first 4 weeks or something. It's like, oh, that's not a bad strategy.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll just go in saying, "Nah, my heart's not in it. I just want to have you for 3 weeks, have a good
Let's have a look at
time."
what people are saying here. Danika's saying, if the mini is a perch, I see Josh coming in last. Then I see automatic guy to be Nehemiah. I think the guy of 3 who has the worst time is automatic in. Then I think it's him and Bananas. It's very specific there, Danica. Like, but I could see it. I could see Josh potentially missing out. Josh has done okay in mini finals in the past. So if it's the knee with the stitches that's going to hold him back, that is a possibility. Theo has not impressed me. Like, I think Theo should not feel calm going into this mini final as well. Like, and it's a shame because I really do want to see Theo do well. So let's hope that it's not the case. There's not like we're starting to get to the pointy end of the season here now. There's, like everybody said, there's a lot of strong males still left. There's a lot of strong females still left. So it's not that many people that can get purged at this stage in the game. But overall, I think it's been a good season, Troy. Would you agree with that? Have you been enjoying sitting on the sidelines? And now that you're watching the season, is the itch still there for you? Do you feel like you need to get back in the ring? You know, like you can't leave it on a final, you know, runner-up sort of placement. You got to go back for the top, right? You got to go back to get the championship.
I think the itch will always be there for me, just because I'm so competitive. But it's like this sick addiction, and you've probably heard other challengers say it before. Like you're watching it and you're kind of addicted to it and enjoy it. Like imagine being in the house with no phone. Like it's this bizarre, like altered reality that you're in for 2 months of the year, or I think mine were 2 months, and nothing else outside of that house matters. And it's like it's it's almost like you get to experience a video game for 2 months and then you come out of it and nobody else ever gets to experience that or has experienced that, and it's really hard to relate, and it's like
explain it. Yeah.
so then when you're watching it on top of that, it's like, oh, I wish I was there, you know, I would have won that challenge, you know. So I feel like it's there on another level. So has this season given me the itch? Absolutely, like more so than any, especially with that rock climbing challenge, the one where they were just hanging on to the container. I would have loved that.
Yeah.
And then this one that's just gone. I feel the eliminations I've really liked. And just the fact that you still have the opportunity to win like $500,000 or $1 million US dollars. Like, you know, like, holy crap. Like, where else would you get those odds? Like, you wouldn't get those odds anywhere else. Like, it's way better than Tats Lotto. And all you have to do is, which is why I need to get training, I guess, in case I ever do get fit. All I have to do is stay fit.
You're talking about odds. You think about it, you'd be at least in the top half, right, of any cast. So then you're going, shit, I got a 1 in 9 shot at 500 grand, like 1 in 10, like whatever it is. Like that's pretty. You're right. I never thought about the odds of that. Where you rank in that, you'd got to like that's huge, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even without.
some people go back for the appearance fees. Like they know that they get like, if they've gone on for X amount of seasons, they get some sort
Yeah.
of an appearance fee, and they just know they're never going to win. We've seen that over the years. But you have won a season, and you have been in a final, and you've done well in both seasons that you've been on. So there's no reason for you not to believe that you've got a very solid shot at getting to a final again and winning a season again in the future. And also, if I look at it right now, like who is the next generation? Like it's in some ways, like I'm happy you won the money in Australia, but I was kind of sad that you did in a way as well, because you could have been a part of that next generation season that they had if you
No,
weren't
yeah.
a champion, right? Not that I'm saying you should give the money back, but it's like they're looking for that next generation. They're looking for people to come in because a lot of these staples are getting older and they're starting to move on. And I just think that we've spoken about this plenty of times, myself and Kahuna, is that they bring certain people in, like Jenny West is another example, or they start creating these new champions, and then you never see them again. So I feel like they just don't build on the legacy for a lot of fans to get used to some of the new players that are coming in. And that's what I sincerely hope you get another shot and that you get to go out there and play again. I know that at least on our community, and then also the Angel Cake community, which you've also been on, people always ask us, when's Troy going to be back on? They love you. There's a lot of support within our communities, at least. So I'm really hoping that we get to see you out there again, Troy.
Oh, me too. Don't worry, me too. I'm hoping I get another crack. As I said, it's just like a sick addiction. So,
You know,
but yeah, we'll see.
I wanted to ask you, Troy. I noticed something this season on the show, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think you do have a little bit of legacy already on the season, or at least you in your season anyway, because I'm attributing the fact that when they go into the chamber, there's the half an hour sand dial to your world championship season, where you kept them there for hours and hours on end. So production has now got a freaking sand timer. They're going, fuck this, we're not doing that again. Half an hour, it. Like, do you
Done.
attribute it to you guys breaking their brains so they had to put a time limit on it?
Oh yeah, probably. There was a few that went around the circle. Nobody changed their votes. Somebody has to change their votes back around the circle again.
I love stalemates.
And then
I love it.
And then yeah, probably. Well, there was a lot of discussions in our one.
There you go, legacy.
And even like
game.
even one time, I remember Ben Ha was at the thing, and then they cut out most of it, but he did like a 15-minute speech, and everyone was like, "Come on, Ben Ha, like
In accent too.
Yeah, any accent." But look, I doubt that's why, but sure, I'll claim it. I'll claim anything.
Dolores here saying overall decent season. Like most seasons, some episodes are better than others. And saying Theo who, just joking. And then Danica saying you should try to go back on. The producers might see you as a more appealing social character if you're single. We did talk about that a little bit in the beginning. And yeah, like Troy said, he is open. Like he's open to a potential showmans if he does get out there. So who knows? You might see that happening.
If it's advantageous. No, not really.
100%.
Nah, it's got to happen.
They cast some beautiful looking women though. Like
They love
they do,
now
don't
that now that you're single, the temptation would be real. When you go out there.
It'd be a big distraction is what it would be, but it would be real. You're not wrong. You're not wrong there. Especially because, like, I feel like they live overseas as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's like, I'm there. I'm going to go back to Australia. I'm going to probably go back and live my life. So whatever happens there, I assume it wouldn't be for the long term.
Yeah, it's kind of like
maybe
what
I
happens
will
in
fall in
Vegas.
love with the challenge. But
it's like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens on the challenge season stays. And that's happened with so many challenge relationships where you see someone from the UK, like Mariah and the guy from the UK hooking up last season.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you they're not together anymore. Yeah, Emmanuel and Tori. Yeah. There's been all these different hookups. So it just happens season after season. And I think it's so easy. You're isolated for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful other single looking people, and people are attracted to different accents as well.
Yeah, and I don't think you understand as well in that house. Like, you've probably heard it before, but literally like 2-3 days in there feels like weeks out in the real life. Like it does, it really does, because you've got no phone, you got no distractions. Like all you've got is to just talk to each other and walk around the house, eat, complain about nobody putting their dishes away, and things like that. Because
Yeah.
that's just all you've got to do.
Yeah.
And
Was
you got
that
to
Wes
kind of,
complaining about people not putting their dishes away? That sounded like a Wes comment.
oh no, that's me. It was everybody. Like, as
Yeah.
in, I was complaining about people not putting the dishes away. Like, it is bad. And because the cleaners come in and they just clean it whenever you go to challenges and stuff, like people just, oh yeah, okay, I'll just leave it there.
Do
And
you
then it
think,
just gets
Kahuna,
left there.
Big Brother is a big thing over in the States, right? And it's been for a long time. Do you reckon, like, if they had 24/7 feeds in the challenge, like it would attract a certain type of people wanting to watch it, like, you know, having the challenges there in the home? Do you think so, Kahuna, or no?
I mean, yeah, people would, especially for a show like The Challenge, like when they're
Yeah.
grasping at every single social media post, trying to, read between the lines, all that sort of thing. If you can have just 24/7 streaming access to what is actually going on behind the scenes,
Yeah.
people would
It
be
would break
loving
my brain. Like, it'll break my
that.
brain. Like, imagine trying to recap the show when people are watching it 24/7. It's like Big Brother. They watch it 24/7. You come on and you're like talking about the edited show, and they're like, no, no, no. That's not what happened. The edit was completely wrong. This and this and this and this and this has happened. Like, it would just break me as a podcaster. I'm trying to come on here and do it. Like, and I would not be, I mean, I've got a job. I've got a professional career. I would never be able to do that and watch the show and appreciate it. But I bet you there would be fans that would love it.
Would
Probably
that
would be
house
less
make a
comfortable
good
for the
show, Troy?
challenges, though.
What was that? Sorry?
Would
Una?
the house as a stream make a good show, or is it just kind of a little bit more boring than we actually think at home?
No, I think it'd be a little bit boring, but it depends because you do miss out on a bit, but also if it was there 24/7, you wouldn't say still at least, oh, obviously while you sleep. So at least 8 out of the 16 hours awake, you'd probably be bored shitless. But for those other 8 hours, you might see conversations that you otherwise wouldn't have seen. You might be like, oh, okay, I understand now why Casey doesn't always get put in. Or, oh, it all makes sense how Josh does what he does, like, because I haven't played with him, I've got no idea. Or you might be like, oh, okay, I see why Tori's so well liked in the house and why nobody wants to put her in as well. Because they do a lot of things in the house, as I said, just like being a good person and chatting to people and asking about their dreams and aspirations, and I guess just asking people about themselves. Who doesn't love that? Like, and I think that is actually a good social thing. So it was really funny when Casey early this season was having a go at Jenny about being boring. So it must be, or whatever. So I think Jenny must be just going in the house talking about herself all the time. And I think maybe that's what Casey was trying to get across. Like, it's good to kind of ask other people about it. I don't know, I wasn't there, so I'm just guessing, but just judging by what I've seen from Casey, is she always asks other people about what they're doing and and what's going on with them. So maybe that's why she doesn't get much of an edit and whatnot, because that is a lot of her social game, I think, is asking other people about themselves.
Connecting at that very deep level. And she
Yeah.
normally doesn't have a lot of spicy comments about people. This season, she did have it, and then suddenly people really disliked the fact that she had those comments. So it's like, you're damned if you're Casey, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Like, it's just, it's hard to please fans sometimes. But I still think that the season that she played with you, and specifically being in a duo with you, that was the most entertaining version of Casey that I've seen in any season that she's played, because her back was against the wall and she had to take shots back and had to be aggressive to get to that final. I actually quite liked seeing Casey fight back that season. So, but yeah, I think fans can be very critical of her at times, and I understand why. Sometimes we just don't see much from her. The producers love to use her to explain the challenges because she's really good at doing that. So she gets a lot of confessionals explaining how the daily challenge is going to work and what's happening. So that's kind of their go-to if they want to get some Casey content out there. She narrates the challenges. I don't know if you've noticed that, Troy.
Yeah, I have. I've noticed that, but maybe she's just really good at explaining challenges, and the rest of the other dumbos just aren't really good at explaining. No, they're not dumb, but everyone else, just isn't that good at explaining them. But I don't know. I think
this week Tori got it, the explanation.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
and I was like, oh, she's even getting the explanation, like confessionals as well. Like she doesn't get enough already, and then she just gets the simple, the Casey ones too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed Nehemiah's been getting a bit of them too this season, or at least maybe
Yeah,
last
yes.
episode. But yeah, he's been getting a
Yeah,
few.
yeah. It's interesting why they choose who they choose when they choose them to narrate the challenges. There's a few people that are really good at doing them, like, and I feel like they've got their go-to people for it. Anything else that you boys wanted to discuss about this season? Anything that you feel like we missed out on? I feel like we've pretty much touched on everything for this episode.
I just one small thing really quickly.
Yeah.
Just in our same tradition that we always do of the challenge versus Survivor. If you break down today's daily, right? It was obstacle course, puzzle, very simple, basic thing that Survivor does every week. Except this one was vertical and 40 feet up in the air. And
Yeah.
again, just showcasing again, simple, small things. It's just an obstacle
Totally.
course with a puzzle, but they do it in just out there ways that is so fascinating and visually challenging. The only thing that I'm annoyed about it, Chris, is that last week when they had the motorbikes and we got the Mario Kart shot of Nehemiah. This week they had a literal Mario Kart, like a real life Mario game, and there was no like video game mention of people playing it at home. There was the shot there, but again, visually stunning thing when it's something simple, flipped in a different way and doing it differently. Amazing.
Yeah, I love it. I love the creativity that the challenge, like we've said many times here, Troy, like the challenge takes big swings and sometimes they get it right and sometimes they get it wrong because of the big swings that they take, but they're just bigger risk takers than Survivor, and that keeps the show fresh, especially when we compare it to not Australian Survivor, but Survivor US. The challenges sometimes can stagnate. They use the same things over and over. The thing I love about the challenge is that, if you look at this season, most of these challenges would have been new to you. It's not a copy and paste from the seasons that you've played. They constantly keep the challenges guessing. That must be fun to know going into a season. They're going to keep you on your toes. You don't know what to expect daily to daily, elimination to elimination. With eliminations, they kind of have a couple that they bring out, the whole brawls and things like that, but they constantly try and innovate.
Yeah, no, it is really good. And I think it keeps a more level playing field as well, to be honest, because it really, if you're good at problem solving and you're a good problem solver, you're probably going to be good at the challenge, to be honest, because if you're able to see something and strategize and solve the problem and know how to attack it the best, you're automatically putting yourself in a really good chance of winning if you're all the same amount physically capable. But on top of that, if you put the work in and you're very physically capable, like a Jordan, who are good at strategy as well, then next thing you know, you're putting yourself even further ahead of the pack. And I think for me, that's what I love about the challenge, is that it really does give a lot of nuance to, I guess, a lot of like tips your hats off to, like problem solving and strategy. And it's not just about the biggest guy always wins or the best guy, except for Hall Brawl. Then it's the biggest guy always wins. But other than that, it's, a lot of strategy. And even,
I agree.
I don't care what you say, even, and at the same tone, it keeps like, even Jordan could lose to Josh or vice versa, because I know the elimination could be Mario Karts. Like Ryan could beat Bananas. Like Ryan nearly got Bananas in that second round. Like that
was crazy.
That's to me the beauty of the challenge, is that anybody can win as well, but also it rewards certain things, and they're not necessarily physical either all the time. Not
Totally
all the time
agree.
anyway.
And
the other thing I love is you just can't get voted out.
Yeah, so you've got a chance to fight back.
To get fired back, yeah.
Yeah, I love that aspect of it as well. YouTube Gad said, would love to see an 18-wheel truck on Survivor just to see how they would do it. I don't think they could get it on the island if that was the case. Definitely Survivor's got some limitations, but if you watch Australian Survivor, they are more creative with their challenges, I feel like, most of the time. And they're on an island as well, so there's no excuses. But I think that is it here for this week. If you did like this content, like Danica said, hit the like button. That is how we know that you appreciate us. recapping, talking about the challenge every single week with everybody. If you're not up this early, we fully appreciate and understand that. But jump in the comment section here on YouTube. Make sure to leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought. Leave a message for Troy as well. We thank Troy for being willing to jump on a recap here for an hour and a half to talk to us about the challenge. Let us know what you thought of his insights. Would you like to see Troy play the game again? Let us know down in the comment section below. I know we would, and I know a lot of the live audience would definitely like to see him play. For now, we'll just say au revoir. Is that the right word in French? See you next week. We'll be back. See you, everyone. Bye.